very glad to have Jean here to share her experiences. Jean, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Good morning.
What happened to the light?
Jean Whitehorse, and myself and my own native language, which is Navajo, and the government should wash it out with soap when I was in the boarding school. So my presentation is how Alcatraz changed the fortunes of independence and self-determination.
You check your mic.
Oh.
It's not there. Hold it right closer. You got to hold it right up to your mouth.
All right, can you hear me now? All right. I'm going to talk about the government boarding school. I'm one of the students that went to the government boarding school. And I'm also going to talk about how I end up here in the Bay Area from the Navajo Reservation. I was one of the students that was relocated here to the Bay Area under the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And also the occupation, you covered a lot of that, and I'm sure other people will cover that. And I also want to talk about Native women sterilization. This is not, people don't know about it. It was never published, or it's, something that has happened to a lot of us, and I'm one of the statistics, because after I had worked over it, this happened to me. Okay, like I said, I'm from the Navajo Reservation, and so our Navajo people, our elderly people, they were relocated before the Long Walk. That's in our Navajo history. That was the first relocation of our Navajo people. So to our Navajo elder, relocation means to disappear forever. Some people, like I was relocated here, but I only stayed like about 4 years, and then I figured it was time to go home. But a lot of people that I made friends with that were relocated here, they're still here, they still live here. And I'm going to be talking about some of the federal Indian laws, and one of them is about removal of, Indians to have more land for the pioneers. Our people were removed from our homeland to Fort Sumner in New Mexico. And our people stayed there for 4 years and were in prison. This is a prison that has no fence. This is a prison that has no wall. And they spent 4 years there under the orders of the government. At the end of that 4 years, the government figured there wasn't enough money to keep continuing, providing for the Navajo people. There was over 10,000 that were removed. The government did not have enough funding to continue providing for their needs, so they said, let's just go take them to Oklahoma, where the Indian territory is already established. But with 2 chiefs, they traveled by train to Washington to talk with the Indian agent. And if it wasn't for these 2 chiefs, we would have been the 40th tribe in Oklahoma. They negotiated with the Indian agent and talked to other people, and finally they said, yes, you can go home. So back after, in 1868, another long walk back to our home territory in the 4 Sacred Mountains. And so with all the things our elders went through, they remained strong through their prayers. In Navajo, it says, that's one of the ceremonies that our elders had. What that means is, our elder believes that we should still live in harmony with our universe. And just keep going no matter what we have been through, no matter what suffering we have, experienced. I'm also a daughter of a Navajo code talker. This is my father in his picture before when he joined the service, and then, at 72 years old, he was still, marching in the parade at Gallup. He just had his uniform altered to fit him so he can wear it. And I'm also a great-grandmother. I have my girls here with me, and I'll introduce them in a while. So this is just some of the code talker that you probably heard about them. There's a lot of books out there. I was the code talker secretary for about 12 years, from March 1996 to March 2008. And one of our code talker was asked to make a speech at Washington, D.C. when they were going to receive their gold medal award. We were in a little group, this was before the program started, and one of the president's staff came up and asked him who's making the speech, and he said, I am. So they said, let's look at your speech. So he let them look at his speech, and right away one of the staff told him he cannot make the statement here in this roundhouse in front of the president. So they told him that he would say, our Navajo language is older than your United States Constitution. But then he said, I was invited here on behalf of the code talker. I'm one of the original 29. I'm here to represent them, and under your Constitution, I have the right to speak, so this is my speech. So he made his speech. We still face this out there. And some of the Indian policies that were made is like Indian Removal Act. That's when the first time the Europeans settled on the East Coast, they needed land because there was more people coming. So President Andrew Jackson is the one that passed this law to remove all the Indians west of the Mississippi, while a lot of tribes stayed there. And the other law was manifest destination. This is the same thing that has to do with the Indian Removal Act. And the next one is Indian relocation, that was relocating 39 tribes to Oklahoma City. Then there was other Indian territories in that area too, not just Oklahoma City. And then the Indian Allotment Act, that's like, that's the Dawes Act. Then there's the Indian Assassination, that's when the boarding school came in. The first boarding school that was built was at Carlisle Indian School. That it was an old military barrack. They just, renovated that and made the first boarding school out of that. So a lot of, our Indian people, like the children were removed from the families, and they were placed there. I've been to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I was invited there to do a talk at two colleges and one university. We were given the chance to, go tour this army base now. And at the entrance, there is like a small cemetery, and they had like 96 headstones. My first question was, what happened to the rest of the children? I know there was about over 10,000 children that were removed from their family, all the way from Alaska, Canada, because the Indians, when they made this treaty with the United States, they agreed to send their children to school. Under our Navajo Treaty, under Article 6, that's what it says, that we agreed to send all our children to school from age 5. So in our area, there was no school back then in 1864. So the only school that was, established was in Carlisle. So out from the Navajo Reservation, 111 students were sent by train to Carlisle. Probably a 6-day ride in the car, where they were given the seat and all They didn't know where they were going, and then at 5 years old, how do you think those children felt? And then the more I asked questions, okay, so out of 10,000, how many went home? They said about 2,000 children died from disease, from being homesick, and just being away from home. But like I said, if 2,000 children never made it back, then what happened to them? There's only 96 headstones. The original grave site is on that side here. There's a huge building built right on top of that. So, I just, like when I'm going, if I go somewhere that I've never been, my first question is, what tribe lives there? When I went to Pennsylvania, that was my question. What tribe lives here? Where are they? I want to go see, go to their village. There's no tribe in Pennsylvania because they were all removed, taken away from their land. So that was the first government boarding school. Indian citizenship. This was passed because they wanted, the American Indians to start helping, start enlisting in the military. Some of them already, fought in World War I, but when this Indian citizenship was passed in 1924, it was without voting rights. We just became a citizen of our own country without any right whatsoever. And then the Indian Reorganization Act in 1934, then the Congress passed this act saying that, okay, we'll, start helping the Indian tribe. After they tried to get rid of all of us, after they tried to terminate all of us, now they want to come in, but we are still here. They want to come back and start helping us to reestablish our government, reestablish ourselves, our homes, and then, find our way home. And in the Termination Act, this happened, in the 1930s too. Mostly with the California tribe. There were a lot of California tribes that were terminated. So when Alcatraz was taken, the first time it was taken, 4 members of the Sioux tribe claimed Alcatraz under their 1868 treaty, saying anytime a government takes land from the Indian tribe and then abandons it, this Indian tribe can come back and claim it. But then the members of the Sioux tribe were told, you're not a member of the California tribe. You're not a recognized federal tribe of the California. That's your treaty from, where you're from. So that didn't take place. And then during the time that we were under the government, there was a Bureau of Indian Affairs that was really in control of the Native all over. So the Bureau of Indian Affairs controls us from birth to death. We are wards of the government. I have a government census number. From the day I was born, I was given that number till the day I die. I will have that number. I may say I'm a sovereign nation. I come from a sovereign nation. But there's still ways the government controls you. They still have their thumb over you. When you progress a little bit, they'll come back and hold you back. And then the Bureau of Indian Affairs is our guardian, our trustees, our beneficiary, our vendor, realty, teacher, social worker, everything. And then Indian people are treated as if we are incompetent, to manage our own affairs. Any money, any land that we have, they control it. The BIA administration, they can, like they had the rights to all our land. We may say I'm from the Navajo Reservation. I'm just the occupier of the land. But anytime they discover mineral, anything that's underground that's worth money, they're in control. They can change the lease, and transfer and build pipes, pipelines, extract mineral because it's money to them. But when they leave, after they take whatever it is out of the ground, then we're left with all that contaminated waste that's left there. Our people are now suffering from all the uranium mine that was mined in our area. The Navajo Nation, we have coal mines, we have uranium, we have gas, and then we also have oil. Those are the 4 sources that we have. Up to this day, they still want to reopen some of the uranium mine, even though they were closed. The president of the Navajo Nation said no more uranium mining on the Navajo reservation, but not in a certain area. I'm from the New Mexico area. We're called Indian country, which means that if the governor of New Mexico signs a paper saying that, you can start remining, opening uranium mining again, our president doesn't really have any say-so because we're not actually on the Navajo reservation. We're Indian country. That's why they call us Checkerboard area. And about boarding school. A lot of people, when I used to make this presentation, I used to just say boarding school. Boarding school means completely different back east. Back east, boarding school is where the wealthy people sent their children. But mine, I went to the government boarding school. It was a military-style school. I never, knew. Of course, I was only 5 years old. I was at that age where I can, go to school because, like I said, in our Navajo treaty, our chief agreed to send the children to school, so we were just taken from our family. And I already talked about Pennsylvania. Okay, it's a military-style school. If you go there with long hair and you have your traditional clothing, that's taken from you. Your hair is cut. You're given an English name because your Navajo name, like my grandmother's Navajo name is Ba'achin Summit. Who can say that here? Who can spell that? Because we had names like that, we were given English name off the clipboard. Something they can, identify us. But even when we were in the boarding school, we weren't we weren't addressed by our name. We were given numbers. From the day you get, enrolled, till the end of the year, you get a number. Okay, maybe my number is number 24. That's all I listened for when I was in the boarding school. My brother and I, we went there, my older brother, we couldn't talk to each other. We were forbidden to talk our language. We were physically punished, mentally punished, verbally, abused, called names, and, So that's the kind of school I went to, my brother and I. The only time we would see each other, get close to each other, was when we were passing each other in the dining room. He's probably leaving and I'm coming in or carrying our tray. All we do is glance at each other and we get. Couldn't even talk to each other. So they cut their hair and we were marched to the dining room, to the classroom all the time. So I was probably like, in the boarding school, like a military style. I always say I'm still waiting for my discharge paper. I was there so many years. And this is one of the young men that attended Carlisle. He was one of the 110 students that I'm talking about. He had a Navajo name. The picture on the right has, how he went to school, his jewelry, his hair. 3 years later, That's what they mean. Kill the Indian, save the man. That's the example. This is on the books, the cover. This is what they mean. Kill the Indian. Kill their name, their tradition, their language, their culture, their family ties. Change them completely to look like them. When this young man went home, his family did not accept him back because they said, you're no longer one of us, you're different. So his family just disowned him. And this is, when I first came to Alcatraz, I used to have black hair. Black hair. Now it's white and all kind of colors now. So, but when I came, like I said, the first time I came to Alcatraz, it was like under the Bureau of Indian Affairs relocation program. Right after I graduated, I was given a one-way bus ticket to Oakland, California, right off the reservation when I was 19 years old. And I traveled by bus, went to Los Angeles, came down the coast, arrived here in Oakland, went across the Bay Bridge, arrived in Oakland at 2 a.m. And then when I was at the bus depot, I didn't know what to do. I went to the one counter where this lady was standing. I said, I'm supposed to go to the YWCA. How do I get there? She said, okay, go out the store and catch this bus. I said, I don't know how to catch buses. Because I never lived in the city before. I had money. They give you that petty cash for it, you know, your meal and, you know, like if you have to catch the bus. But back home, they didn't tell us anything about that. I just showed up at the Bureau of Indian Affairs office and they said, okay, here's your envelope, get on the bus. That was it. Usually there's people that have orientation or something, but not this one. And when I came, after I arrived in Oakland, the next morning I had to go to Alameda because this is where the Bureau of Indian Affairs office was. That's where I had to talk to my counselor, and they told me that I was here to take vocational training in nursing. And I wasn't ready to go to any nursing class, so they gave me money to buy uniform, and they asked me if I found an apartment. I said, what's an apartment? I don't know what an apartment is. I said, no. I said, I'll stay at the YWCA because that was similar, like a dormitory. You're in a place, and there's somebody at the front desk. When you leave, every time you leave, you tell them where you're going, and then you have to let them know when you're coming back because they close the door at 11 o'clock. So this was all new to me. I just came from a reservation into Oakland, and Oakland had the largest population of relocated students. Okay. All right, let me just, so this is just what I have in my, what happened. And then when I finally finished my training, and then I said, I want to go home, I'm finished. They said, no, we'll help you. You stay here, we'll find a job for you. So when I couldn't find a job, they put me in the secretarial school. When I finished that, I found a job at Oakland Army Base. I was working in the finance office, a job nobody wanted because what I had to do was, I was the one that filled out the beneficiary information from the young man that was going over to Vietnam. I don't know if there's any Vietnam veterans here. I've been to the wall several times in Washington, and I looked at the names. There's one young man from our area, our hometown, died in Vietnam. I always look for his name. But I couldn't trace it if I should find it because I was told anything that you trace that's on that wall, you stop everything there. Meaning, when the sun comes up, they carry the name all day till sundown, but if you trace it, you stop it there. So I found it. I found his name. His name is Johnny Antonio. Until my last visit, it finally dawned on me, how many of these young men sat at my desk when I was filling out their beneficiary? And this guy right here, Doggy Diner, I guess they discontinued that many years ago. Here I found him by the zoo in San Francisco. So I said, oh, there's Doggy Diner, and my kids were just looking at me. Okay, when I first went to Oakland, that time that Oakland was one of the headquarters for the Black Panther, I saw a lot of this on the street. And then I also see this group, I don't remember what they're called. Yeah, they were very interesting. And then I went to Haight-Ashbury, very colorful people, walking down the street, get high because you know why. And I also saw a lot of the protesting at Berkeley. So I was very busy getting educated. I was getting exposed to what's off the reservation, what it's really like in the real world. And I'm on a time, so let me just jump ahead. Somebody will cover this. These are some old newspaper clippings that I saved when I was here. This one. That one. I went to the archive center here. They don't have copies of this. I threw it away at one time. Then I thought, no, I'll need it one day. This is when I first came in or moved back. And this is the only picture that I have of the Alcatraz. I started coming here to the island in December. I didn't know about this. When we were at Indian Friendship House, East 14, it was on East 14, now it's called International Boulevard. We were trying to look for it, but after the Thanksgiving dinner, somebody came from here and they were talking to us about the takeover. So a friend of mine, Dorothy Smith, and I, we started getting curious. I said, let's go. So we went, and so we started coming on weekends. And of course, our Bureau of Indian Affairs Council caught up with us. They took our name down. They said, you did not come here to get involved with this group. You're here to get educated. So I was in, trouble. Of course, I'm always in trouble. When I was in boarding school, I said, okay, just send me home. They said, no, we'll just keep you here. So the longer they kept me here, I was here on the Bureau of Indian Affairs expense. And they kept me here and they wouldn't let me go home. So I was at the right place, at the right time, at their expense, because I found out about myself. When I was in the boarding school, I studied everybody's history but my own. It was here that people were talking about different tribes, what your rights are. It was here where I found myself after being, government property for so many years. So I've been here a couple of times talking about my personal experience on Alcatraz, my personal experience with the government, and a group that had a conference here. And I'm also just going to mention how important is your family. In 1970, Justice Holmes stated, it is better for the world if instead to execute degenerates offspring for crime they will commit. We're degenerates to the, Congress back then. So they passed this act called Family Planning Act. This was funded with millions and millions of government dollars. And target was unborn Native babies. They wanted to control the population. We started expanding again. When my Navajo people moved back, marched back from Fort Sumner, there was less than 10,000. But for the past couple of years, we were, like the highest population on the U.S. Census. So as Native women, we were told we're unfit, uneducated to bring our own kind into this world. We're incapable of taking care of ourselves. So they imposed the sterilization at our Native people, through the Indian Health Service. And sterilization was done by tube ligation and hysterectomy. And this was done without our consent. I went into the clinic just to get my appendix out. I drove myself to the hospital because nobody was home, but I really got, announced in pain. And then from Crown Point to Gallup, I was transported by ambulance. And they said, we cannot do anything for you until you sign this paper. I didn't know what this paper was for that. So instead of getting my appendix out, they also sterilized me after one daughter. In Navajo, our tradition, our wealth is our children, not how much money you have, how many cars, how big is your house. Our wealth is our children. After one daughter, they did this to me. And like I said, my grandma's Navajo name is Bachin Hamet. If that was interpreted in English, it would have meant many children. I would have never lived up to my name because of that policy. So my daughter, my only daughter, is right there, the longest, stand up, stop being shy. So this was the government's pamphlet. The more children you have, the less horse you're going to have. But if you have only one child, look at all the horses you're going to have. Horses aren't family. Horses don't carry our bloodline. So I'll stop here. I have more, but I'm on a time limit. But I'll introduce Lenny. And he's the next speaker. He's also from the Navajo Reservation. He's also a son of a Navajo code talker. And he is the spiritual counselor for Leonard Pelt here. And he will talk more about his part. So I'll just stop here. Like I